Welcome back to the Woman-H.O.O.D podcast, a topic that I get questioned about a lot when it comes to feminine health or fibroids. I have with me the amazing LaToya, who is going to sit and talk to me about her fibroid journey. And it's an emotional journey that you're going to see me get a little emotional over because I have had surgery for fibroids. Fibroids have affected me in a major way. The way that fibroids affected her was enough for her to have a fibroid walk, enough for her to get her health together, enough for her to be an advocate, not just for herself, but for other women too. But her story is just so inspiring. I feel like I say that about all the stories, right? Of course, because I'm not about to be around basic bitches. So her story about fibroids, if any of y'all are suffering from it, I hope it inspires you to, one, change your lifestyle if you want to change the fact that you have fibroids and how it's affecting your body. I hope that it inspires you to not be so fearful of it and think that it's over for you because you have fibroids or there's nothing you can do about it. And I also hope that it helps you understand that there's something you can do about fibroids beyond having a hysterectomy, beyond having myomectomy, beyond just ignoring it. Because fibroids is not something we're supposed to ignore. I'm going to tell you right now. And listening to LaTonya's interview, you will walk away feeling a lot stronger, more confident, and more knowledgeable about fibroids. Hi, ladies. Welcome to the Woman-H.O.O.D podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. Super special. Because I already told y'all I'm so irritated that all my footage got deleted. But I was able to get the amazing LaToya Dwight with us again. And her story is incredible. You guys know I am a storyteller. That is the soul of my whole entire being. And her story is incredible. I need y'all, when you are listening to her interview, to see her. I want you to see her. I want you to feel her. I want you to feel the energy. I want you to feel the health. I want you to feel the emotions, the ups and the up and downs that she went through. And I want you to listen carefully to know her. Because knowing her, you might learn something new about you. Her story is incredible. Her fibroid story is something that I myself have suffered with, and many of you love to DM me about. Her health is really important. Mm-hmm. It's really important. And I think sometimes the tug and war with women of color, Black women, is we feel unheard. Mm-hmm. The issue with being unheard is it can in the long run hurt us. We need to talk about your story.
Yeah.
Your story is incredible. First, let's talk about who you are. Before we jump into it, who are you?
Well, I always do this, and I said it to you before. Before we even get started, I just want to thank you guys for having me. Thank you just for being so patient, and thank you for the invite, because I know there can be thousands of other people, of other women, of other individuals sitting in this seat right now having this conversation. I don't take it for granted. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Absolutely. So I'm LaToya Dwight. Yeah. I'm just a regular old girl from
she's not regular, y'all.
Upstate New York, born and raised. But I would say that Atlanta has truly made me into the woman that I am.
Yeah.
I'm a mother. I'm a wife. Or should I say I'm a wife? I'm a mother. And I'm also the founder of the Fibroid Pandemic.
Yeah.
The Fibroid Pandemic is my organization that I started, basically taking my pain and turning it into my passion.
Yeah.
And I created that organization going on 4 years now, in 2020, I believe.
Yeah.
It was born during COVID. My experience prior to that happened way, earlier than that. But when I decided to really get from behind the scenes and start telling my story so that I can help others, it was born around 2020.
Right.
And the main goal of the Fibroid Pandemic is to provide resources to humans with a uterus, also known as women, because people will attack you. Or whatever their preference is. But for the sake of the conversation, do you mind if I say women?
That's fine. And please understand what we mean when we say women, people with uteruses, okay? but we're going to
Humans
refer
with the
to
uterus.
people with uterus as women.
That's right.
Do not slide my DM, get mad at me. Carry on.
So the main goal of the fibroid pandemic is to provide resources to humans with the uterus who are looking to overcome uterine fibroids.
Yeah.
By way of community initiatives, education, etc. So it is truly my passion. And I know that when God calls my number, because all of us, we are guaranteed to expire at some point.
Yeah.
I really hope it's no time soon, but I really pray that when God calls my number, that I have truly made him proud.
Yeah.
I want to leave empty. I want to leave my tank empty. I want to know that I have truly given my all to help others.
That's so important. It's so important. And I know that I always say, like, womanhood is ghetto. It is ghetto. But ghetto has so many meanings to it, right? It's so many meanings to it. A big part of the journey is the ups and downs of it. And the realization that you have to go on it. I think many times when we realize we're diagnosed with something, it's looked at as this is the end. I don't want to go through this. And it's understandable. It's understandable. Get me, I didn't even know what a fibroid was when I was told, oh yeah, you have a fibroid. And I was like, okay, do I take a Tylenol? What does this mean? And then this is at the point that I found out I had a fibroid was I was pregnant for the third time and I had a miscarriage. And they said, well, the bigger this grows, the less nutrients your baby's gonna have, and you'll have a 20% survival rate. And it goes down the bigger the uterus grows because you're having a baby. Well, obviously, I didn't have my baby. I had a miscarriage. And they said, if we need to get rid of this, or you're going to have this problem continually. I think it was like 5 centimeters. And I had to have surgery. And I was like, what does this mean? And the doctor's like, oh, we're going to, you can still have babies in the future. You just need to have the surgery and you'll be fine. No one told me they come back. No one told me that they can come back with friends. No one told me when you have surgery, you alter your body. Everything changes. No one told me at the time you're 31, the older you get, the more changes your body has, you become something called high risk. And I'm like, what? And then boom, by the way, tap on the shoulder, you now have high blood pressure that's out of control. In order to control, you have to take medicine for the rest of your life. I was like, so this is happening too? And I didn't want to go on the journey. I was just like, well, then I called my mom. I said, I'm just going to adopt. I don't want to go through this. I don't want to heal from this. I don't want to have this risk. I don't want to feel anxious. And you have to be brave to go on this journey. Your journey is a very brave journey. And it's for so many women, it's a scary journey, but I really want y'all to look at her. Isn't she gorgeous? And you're healthy.
We are gorgeous.
We are, but you're so healthy.
I try to be.
And then the journey to get to where you are, how did it start?
So first and foremost, I commend you for your experience, because the average woman probably would have thrown in the towel knowing that, number one, they're in their 30s and they're considered a high risk pregnancy and you've already had a miscarriage. Someone very close to me, not even in her 30s, also had a miscarriage literally on her birthday.
Ugh.
And it was beyond devastating. So I just really commend you for, staying in it, because it is very scary and you literally put your body at risk.
Yeah.
So my journey started, oh gosh, 2013, 14. And my story is kind of long, so I'm going to try to not make it too long and boring. But let me take a step back. So my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, he and I did not want to have an unplanned pregnancy. At the time, I was in my 30s. And so we said, well, let's handle this like two adults and let's do something about it, because I wasn't being sexually active. So I wasn't on any birth control.
Right.
I knew taking the pill was not going to work for me. That's why I have my son now playing the catch-up game. So I looked at a few different types of birth control, and my OBGYN, who I had been going to for 12 and a half years. And every time I have a conversation about it, I always stress, make sure you listen when I say 12 and a half years, because that's very important.
Yeah, That's over a decade.
Over a decade.
Yeah.
That's my point. So she and I talked about it, and we agreed that I would have the IUD Marina implanted within a certain amount of years. I believe 5 years. You have to have it removed and replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to go have it replaced, and they couldn't locate it, and I didn't know what that meant. So she's like, "Well, did you take it out?" And in all transparency, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you can take the IUD out. I didn't know that was a thing. I still honestly don't know if that's a real thing or not.
Wow.
So I kind of looked at her kind of puzzled. I'm like, no, I didn't take it out.
Right.
And so she sent me to ultrasound, and just go with me here in your head. I'm literally in my doctor's office, my OBGYN who I had been going to for over a decade. She couldn't locate the IUD, so she sent me to ultrasound literally in her doctor's office. She didn't see me across town. She didn't tell me to come back. She didn't send me to another outpatient facility. This was literally within her office suite, couple doors down. Like literally, like as if we were walking into the kitchen or the bathroom, like literally within her office. So she sends me to ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech motions me to get undressed from the waist down, and she performed a topical ultrasound just as they normally would if someone was pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
with the gel and all that stuff, and they couldn't locate the IUD. And so she performed a vaginal ultrasound, inserted the wand,
Yeah.
and she was able to find it very. She said, "Oh, there it is. Looks like it kind of shifted just a little bit." And I'm like, "Okay." I wasn't surprised,
Right.
because I knew I had not taken. I knew I had not taken it out, but I didn't know if it could fall out or what. Besides that, she found it, and as I'm getting back dressed, she says to me, "By the way, how are your fibroids coming along?" I think she was just trying to have like good bedside manners, and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Right. And it's the same OBGYN you've had.
This is an OBGYN's office.
Office.
This is the ultrasound tech in her office. Right. So it's the same exact office now, right?
Wow.
12 and a half years. And I go, "What's that?" My OBGYN, who I have been going to for 12 and a half years, never mentioned a fibroid. And to your point, I heard of the term very, very, very vaguely. I didn't know what it or what they were. I had no knowledge of them. Like you said, I didn't know if I could take a Tylenol and they go away. If it's sexually transmitted, you take an antibiotic. If it's something that I can just, sleep off, change my diet, I had no idea. She gave me no information. So so the ultrasound tech, based on my response when I go, what's that? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What is that? The look on her face, she was mortified because she knew at that very moment that it was pretty obvious that I did not know that there were fibroids on my uterus. So I get back dressed. I'm walking back to the doctor's office. And so I'm again still in her same office suite.
Yeah.
12 and a half years. I get back in there. And so at this point, she's behind her desk. And again, painting a picture, beautiful cherry wood desk and flat screen TV. And she's pulling up her calendar on her computer. I couldn't tell what she was doing because I was sitting on the other side. And just very matter of fact, very casually, very cavalier, she's like trying to reschedule. And I go, "So wait a minute, hold on."
Yeah.
Because she's like, "Well, what are you available this date, that date?" And I'm just like, Hold on, wait. Can we talk about those fibroid things or that fibroid that the ultrasound tech mentioned? Like, what's that all about?" And so she turns to the monitor. She looks. She goes, "Oh yeah, some rather large fibroids. Do you plan to have any more children?" And I honestly didn't know where she was going with that question.
Yeah.
Having gone to her for 12 and a half years.
Yeah.
And my response was, "Well, I mean, am I planning? I mean, no, but I just got engaged. Like, I don't understand the question." Like, and she says to me, "Because of your age, and if you don't plan to have any more children, and because of the size of your fibroids, I recommend a hysterectomy." Literally out the gate. And mind you, she still had not at that very moment explained what a fibroid was to me.
And to be clear, a hysterectomy is pretty much the removal of your whole entire reproductive system. is, remember, there's a difference between a myomectomy, that's the one I had, and hysterectomy. I mean, all of it's gone. Reproductive organs, not organs, ovaries,
Well, yeah.
uterus. Like that's, so she's saying pretty much, let's wrap this up. Okay.
And it was very, it happened so fast. It was very confusing, very overwhelming. And so I just kept like saying, wait a minute. So can you give me a little bit more information? Like, how did I get there? I'm like, and I said, was there anything else I can do? Like, I don't understand. And she says, well, the reason why, because so I told you what my passion is, which is the fibroid pandemic. By profession, I'm a vice president of health solutions at a global risk management company. And by profession, I negotiate B2B contracts, business to business contracts with major medical carriers on behalf of employers, companies that have anywhere between 500 to about 5,000. And so I said that to say, because I'm on the front line of these contract negotiations with Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, whoever, to offer medical, dental, vision, disability to their employees. And in certain instances, I have to get involved when there's a claim. If a member has like a claim or an employee has a claim issue, let's say a CEO is trying to send their child to the hospital for surgery, or one of the employees at the doctor, or someone's at the pharmacy and their ID card is not working, the insurance is not showing verified. So every so often I need to get involved.
Yeah.
So I said that to say that I understood very quickly that a hysterectomy was a major surgery.
Yeah.
Many people may not understand that. I knew as soon as she said, I'm like, okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Time out here. And she says to me, I said, well, how, like, what are they? And it was like trying to pull teeth. And she says to me, well, they're just like kudzu. You can cut them away. You can cut them away, but they're just going to grow back anyway. That's why I recommend the hysterectomy. And so I don't know about you guys, but 12 and a half years. OBGYN I had been going to for over a decade. She compared my womb to those of you who don't know what kudzu is, it's weeds that grew up the side of the building. And so when she compared my womb to kudzu, if you can imagine 12 and a half years, never once mentioning anything to me about fibroids. And let's be clear, fibroids do not grow overnight.
No.
The fibroids that were on my uterus, the two largest, and the reason why I said the two largest, because she only told me I had two.
Yeah.
But I learned very quickly after doing my research that was not the case. And after going through the remainder of my journey, I realized that it was confirmed that was not the case. The two largest were 5 and 7 centimeters. I'm sorry, 11 and 7 centimeters. So 11 centimeters is probably about the size of a small melon, and 7 is about the size of a grapefruit.
Yeah.
So your size 5 centimeters, probably like a large orange or something like that. And it really affects every single aspect of your life.
It does.
Every single aspect of your life. And so when she compared it to kudzu, I was really taken aback. I got in the car, I called my then boyfriend, and I'm explaining to him that, yes, I got these fibroids. And he's like, whoa, what's that?
Right.
Hold up.
Right.
What's going on? And I was like,
feel them?
right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I don't really know what they were. And that added another layer of confusion, frustration, embarrassment, fearfulness that I wasn't even really prepared to even deal with that day as I'm driving just to go get my IUD replaced.
Right.
And all this happened so fast. It happened very, very fast. And so I'm literally crying, my face, I'm crying. And so he's like, just calm down. We'll talk about it when you get home. And when we got home, I still didn't have the tools to explain to him what I had just been diagnosed with. So he kind of looking at me like the rock with the side eye, like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what this means. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know that it affects my reproductive system as tremendous as it did. I didn't know that it affects me mentally and psychologically and emotionally and financially.
Yeah.
Like, and socially. I had no idea what I was up against.
Yeah. And that's the beginning of that journey. the beginning. It's like, here it is. What now?
Mhm.
What now?
So I'm type A personality.
Yeah.
Not that I don't listen to doctors, but I take and use the tools that I'm given. And so I'm going to do my own research. I'm always going to do my own research. I started down a 4-year long journey of doing my own research. And I started to do yoga, um, eat for your blood type. I started the whole blood type diet and qigong. And I started to do, breathing exercises and meditation. And I even went vegan.
Yeah.
And I joined different coaching programs. Sidebar, if you do a coaching program, make sure you do your own research, extensive research. Because I don't really believe, while I feel like I did a lot of research on coaching programs, just certain programs are not as effective. I'll say that. So
Okay.
just, be aware of that. So I felt like I did my due diligence.
Yeah.
And I had eventually decided to have uterine fibroid embolization. But
what is that?
So uterine fibroid embolization, the acronym is UFE, also known as uterine artery embolization, UAE. So basically that's where a interventional radiologist is not a surgeon. Mm-hmm. An interventional radiologist, typically someone who may deal with vein disease, they will send a small catheter. They can either do it through your wrist on the lower side of your wrist or through your groin area. They send a catheter to basically, I will call to feed a solution into the major artery that feeds the blood supply to the fibroid.
Yeah.
What it does is it chokes off, it blocks the blood supply.
Okay.
And the way that it does that, they're actually sending aluminum pellets. People think it's like a concoction, like a solution, but it's aluminum pellets that they're sending into the main artery that provides the blood, that supplies the blood supply to the fibroid to block it off.
Gotcha. So it keeps it from growing.
Keeps it from growing.
Got
Correct.
It. Got it.
And essentially, because it keeps it from growing, and because it's not receiving any more blood, it starts to die off.
Yeah.
So the whole goal is for it to shrink.
Yes.
And to improve your symptoms, but it's not a cure.
Yeah.
And for me, because of the size of my of those fibroids at the time, I was told that I'd be lucky if I get 50% shrinkage. At that time in my life, I was willing to take the gamble.
Yeah.
And I got 50% shrinkage. It worked for me. However, I didn't know, because my doctor told me, that they can grow back. Yeah. And I can't necessarily say that they started to grow back, but what I can say is that after them shrinking down, where they were placed created a whole other slew of medical conditions that I wasn't even ready for.
Oh man, like the thing with the fibroids, because I did the same thing. I was like, okay, before this happens, I asked the doctor, I said, are there any natural ways of doing it? She told me straight in the face. And she said, you can shrink them, but unless you're going to get rid of the root, they can come back and they can bring other ones. And then when I was pregnant with Artis, they told me, oh, you have fibroids. And I'm like, I didn't have surgery. I've only seen the other little two that were hanging around. And they still have one. And they kept an eye on it as much as they kept an eye on me and the baby. Like every ultrasound, I was just measuring the fibroid casually too. And I'm just like, what does this mean? Well, we don't want you to panic. We just have to keep an eye on it. Oh, looks like there's another one.
But don't panic. There's more.
There's more. And I'm like, okay. They actually removed it, which is very shocking because I had a C-section. But my doctor was just like, he said, you want to have more kids? It was an easy, simple removal, so it won't keep growing. And it's like, in the back of my mind, I remember anything you do to the body alters your body, alters your cells. So I'm just like, what is this going to mean for me later? And like you said, doing your own research is critical before you make a decision. This is why I needed this interview, because like before you make a decision, you have got to be an advocate for yourself so loud. You got to ask questions before you accept anything. Clarify, do your research, make your own decision. And if you have a partner, make a decision with your partner. It's just, you have to put you first, because it's your expiration date, not theirs, not the company's. It's yours. And if you either speed that up or you slow it down, it's up to you.
I cannot agree with you more. I mean, when I went through the process, of course, I did consult with him, but like you said, that was ultimately my decision and my decision only.
Yeah.
And it was life changing for me. I remember when we went in, when we were preparing, like the night before, the morning of, in the car on our way there, I remember calling my sisters and close family and friends, like, I love you. And they're like, girl, you just going in for it's going to be outpatient. But I never had a procedure before. So I didn't really know what to expect. And UFE is not surgery, it's literally outpatient procedure. You're in and out within the same day. I was probably out within 6 to 8 hours just due to monitoring. But one thing that was kind of lighthearted for me was when I was under anesthesia. Um, my husband was recording me. I had not known that until several days later. And while under anesthesia, I was talking about the land of the Smurfs. But the way that came about was because he's recording me, and literally, like, there's a television in the recovery room. Nothing was on there but like soundscapes,
Yeah.
which is, and apparently I just thought that sound like the land of the Smurfs, la 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 la. And I'm literally like laughing hysterically, trying to hold it in, and it's so obvious. But anyway, I got over that. I got through it. I was back on my feet within a couple days. I did have some a not so great reaction to anesthesia. So that's one thing as well. When you're preparing for treatment or any type of procedure or surgery, make sure that you're aware of how your body responds,
Yeah.
to anesthesia, because I didn't know, because I never had it before.
Yeah.
So I had no idea I was going to be up projectile vomiting for hours on end, all night long.
Oh.
Literally nauseous. Like, my face was probably green.
Oh.
But I got through it, and I did get 50% shrinkage. I started living my life like it's golden again.
Yeah.
I was living my life like it's golden. And fast forward 2.5 years later, all hell broke loose.
Oh. Yeah. This part gets me emotional. Oh my goodness.
All hell broke loose. My husband and I were sitting on the couch after dinner. Just, I don't know, it was probably watching Family Feud. I have no idea. Literally doing nothing, just chilling. Had a long week, a long day at work, and just relaxing. And all of a sudden, my heart started racing. And so I sit up and I go, call 911. And he's like, girl, what are you talking about? Out the blue. And I'm like, my heart. And he looks at me. He sees the fear in my face. And he's like, you're serious. I'm like, you're damn right I am. And I started to get really, really dizzy. And I pass out. He goes, I near pass out. I didn't lose full consciousness, but I was very delirious, very lethargic, and I wasn't all there.
Yeah.
And so the paramedics came and they're taking all my vitals. And they said, were you exercising? Were you like out running? Like, no, I was literally on the couch, just relaxing, doing nothing. And they confirmed that my resting heart rate was the heart rate of someone who's out in a full-blown sprint. And I was resting. And so that started the journey of all hell breaking loose. And I'm like, okay. So they transported me to the hospital, to the emergency room. via ambulance. I don't know about you, but an ambulance ride is very expensive.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all could have put me in an Uber for this.
Okay, I'll take myself.
Right. We get there and they're doing all of the regular protocol, taking your vitals and the blood and the x-rays, and got to order the stat, MRI, CAT scan, all that good stuff. And the doctor comes in, he's like, yeah, I think you got anxiety. Here's some Xanax.
How was that all?
And I was like, are you sure? Because I never experienced this before. So that's just very, very random.
Yeah.
And so he was very convinced that I had anxiety. And I'm like, okay. So I took the pills home and I just waited.
Yeah.
I waited until it happened again shortly thereafter.
Like within a week, a month?
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
But it started happening regularly. So I will say over about 12 months, 18 months, between 12 to 18 months, about 18 months, I had been transported to the emergency room by ambulance probably 3 or 4 times, 4 times. Outside of that, we have gone to the emergency room probably 3 or 4 other times just by driving there, probably 4 times, driving there ourselves. And it almost became, I mean, like, just became very, almost, what word am I looking for? It just became very habit. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, grab the blanket. You're not feeling well. Let's just go. And I'm like, I'm really not feeling. He's like, all they're going to do is say, I'm like, I know, but something's not right.
Yeah.
And so I developed more symptoms, and these symptoms started compounding one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other, with the palpitations, with the passing out. And then my legs started to become very numb at times. Then my ankles started swelling at times. And then my legs got really tingly. And then my hands started getting very numb and tingly. I'm like, this is not right. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. At that point in my life, I had not known a lot about anxiety, but I just didn't feel that that's what that was.
Right.
Typically, when there's tingling in your extremities, it usually has something to do with your circulatory system.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably learned that in high school, middle school.
Right.
So I continued doing my research. After going to a neurologist, my regular primary care physician, my OBGYN, going to 3 cardiologists, a mental health therapist, a gastroenterologist, literally the third cardiologist, third or fourth cardiologist. Well, let me take a step back. During this time, I had to get a transthoracic echocardiogram, which is basically an ultrasound of your heart.
That is so scary.
I had to wear a heart monitor for 30 days.
Oh.
Morning, noon, and night. I couldn't take it off. Took a shower with it, slept with it, everything. And I got a CT scan of my brain. And I had, oh gosh, what else did I get? I had an MRI done of the full body. And at a point where I said to my PCP, I promise you, I'm not crazy. There's something going on. And my clean, she said to me, I don't think you're crazy yet. I said, this lady think I'm crazy. And literally, I was at my wit's end trying to convince people that I did not physically feel like myself, but all the tests came back fine.
Right.
And my now husband's like, babe, what's up? Like,
yeah,
they are literally running all these tests and all your tests are coming back negative. Everything's fine.
Right. What's going on?
And I started to second guess myself. Literally, I would say out loud, Toya, are you going crazy? Literally, I thought I was going nuts.
How was work?
Luckily, we were in a virtual environment at that time.
Okay.
So I was physically able physically capable enough of maintaining my job because everything was virtual.
Yeah.
And I could send emails, but it was very arduous. I had to focus very, 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 very hard
Yeah.
to stay focused and to
Right.
not get overwhelmed. And I do know now that hindsight is 2020, I know that I did started to develop a form of anxiety because at that point my body had become so unreliable.
Right.
And I was afraid to drive. I was afraid to be at home by myself. I was afraid, like literally, my husband and I both worked from home at the time, and I would want him because I would work like in a room that we set up as my office. I would want him to work downstairs in the kitchen because I'm like, I don't want you to work upstairs because something. He's like, babe, I'm literally in the house with you. I'm like, yeah, but what if something happens? You're not going to hear me. But I knew by him being in the kitchen, he could hear.
Yeah.
Because the office kind of sits off the kitchen. And it became so nerve wracking. And eventually I said, you know what? I'm not stopping because there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And literally everybody like counted me out. They're like, there's nothing wrong with you. And so the third or fourth cardiologist here at Emory Midtown, um, Dr. Cutchins, I'll just be very transparent if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Dr. Cutchins, she's a cardiologist at Emory Midtown, a darn cardiologist. So I go to her for the first time and she says, you know, listen to everything you're saying. Like, 'cause she's asking me all these random questions. And I'm like, just answering. She's like, you kind of look like you're over this. I'm like, I am because I've been to so many doctors. And she's like, we're going to get somewhere. I promise you. I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm like, I'm just down for whatever.
Right.
So she said, pack your patients. You're going to schedule an appointment. It's going to be 3 hours. Going to run 3 different tests. They're going to scan your legs. And I'm like, okay, let's call a vein something, something. And so about a week later, I had a virtual follow-up visit virtually. And the nurse practitioner says to me, you know, looking at your results, have you ever been diagnosed with uterine fibroids?
Here we go.
The cardiologist, a cardiologist. Have you ever been diagnosed with uterine fibroid? Remember, 12 and a half years.
Yeah.
Over a decade. Dozens of doctors, dozens of appointments, nearly 18 months. Third or fourth cardiologist says, have you ever been diagnosed with fibroids? She had no idea that I'm the founder of the Fibroid Pandemic. She had no idea that I'm a curator of Run Far 5K. Okay. She has no idea that I'm also the founder of the Pandemic, which is a nonprofit 501c3. I should have said that earlier, but created to help eliminate period poverty and unnecessary hysterectomies caused by things such as uterine fibroids. She has no idea that's my passion. No idea. So I kind of chuckled. I'm like, yeah, I know I have fibroids. Why? And she says, yeah, Mrs. Dwight, based on where this always happens. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Based on where those fibroids are located, she says to me, it's not a matter of if something bad's gonna happen to you, but when. And so I just was very confused. Remember, 12 and a half years.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what do you mean? And so she says, she literally educated me so much during that 15-minute conversation. And so everyone has what's called your iliac vein. The iliac vein sits in our groin area. Never heard of it. I must have skipped class that day in middle or high school, whatever. And so we all have what's called an iliac vein. And although I had success with the UFE, where the fibroids are shrunken down, where they shrunk down to where they were sitting, my iliac vein was blocking. So your iliac vein is a main vein in your lower extremities, in your groin area, that recycles the blood supply from your lower extremities to your heart. So literally my heart was not getting any blood. So what happens is your body is such an amazing, like an amazing system. And so it was sending, like, because my kidneys and my liver, like, yo, what's going on? Need blood. Yeah. And my heart's like, wait, I'm trying to get it. I'm working faster. I'm trying to get it. Hence the reason for the palpitations.
Yeah.
Hence the reason for the numbing and tingling in my lower and upper extremities. McLean, had I not advocated for myself, I don't know if you and I would be having this conversation right now.
That is so scary.
It's very scary.
And this is what I need people to understand, that fibroids is not light. It is not light. It is not a simple, oh, they're this small, don't worry about them.
Oh, just wait.
They'll wait. Oh, they can shrink, or they're not going to bother you, or you're young, or you're just older. You're not going to have children. It's nothing to worry about. Or you have them. This is, did you hear what happened? This is what the fibroids have done. And nobody thinks like, oh, they could affect my heart. It could affect my kidneys, my liver. Your body was so strong because you built it to be that strong, that it's sending you signals and it will not stop.
It wouldn't stop.
It would not stop. And the importance of listening to your body. And, I understand that not everybody is always as in tuned to their body, but it is very critical that you spend time with your body. It is your body. You have it for the rest of your life. And when you're getting signals and you're feeling certain things, trust your gut. That's what it's for. It's trust your gut. If you noticing, okay, why am I swelling? Research what does swelling mean, and keep fighting. Keep fighting. Somebody's gonna tell you what's up, because if it's just anxiety, many people have anxiety. Anxiety does affect us in many different ways. It can affect your health. Besides your mental health, your physical health. I understand that, absolutely. But there's a difference between anxiety, stress, and your body speaking to you. Your body's not gonna send you an email, hey, something's up over here. They will send you signals, and you have to sometimes see, particularly in your situation, there's anxiety and stress, and then there's warnings.
I could not agree with you more. And my body was sending off like alerts, emergency, like code 10 messages. It was like literally, even like to this day, it's behooving to me as to how they could not understand that it was something serious going on.
Yeah.
People don't just randomly pass out just because there's nothing wrong.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You can overexert yourself.
Right.
You can have certain situations, but it started to happen. So in back to the question you kind of asked earlier, it started to happen very frequently. So I would have palpitations regularly every day, very aggressively. Probably if there's 7 days out the week, maybe 6.
Yeah.
And it would happen multiple. I will literally, oh Lord. I will literally wake up out of my sleep and just try to deep breathe through it. It would wake me up. And my husband he couldn't do anything. He just like rubbed my back, and he's worried. I'm worried. It was very dark in my household. It got very scary.
Yeah.
Very scary. But when I tell you, I'm so grateful to them for just telling me that. So when they said it, it's like a light bulb went off. And then type A personality, started doing my own research.
Right.
Anyone with just, I would say common sense, but I learned several years ago there's no such thing as common sense. But if you have tingling in your upper and lower extremities, there is something wrong. And then the other thing that I didn't mention is that my legs felt like I had cinder blocks in my shoe. When I walked normally.
Right.
But my legs were very heavy. If you just look at me, you couldn't tell anything's wrong.
Right.
But as I'm walking, I feel like I literally have like weights around my ankle or cinder blocks in my shoes. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. And so after she told me that, I was like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, it's not a matter of if something bad, but when. You need to get those things like removed. I said, but I have UFE. She's like, yeah, but they're still in there. They're blocking your blood supply. You gotta get them. Like, I don't know about you, but if your doctor tells you that you have to do this, you're gonna respond very differently.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay attention.
Yeah.
And so I did. So November of 2023, I had a robotic laparoscopic myomectomy. Had no intentions of ever doing anything else after the UFE. But I would like to say that my situation is very unique.
Yeah.
I don't believe that's the case. I would like to say that, but I honestly don't believe that's the case. I just believe that many women, many people don't pay that much attention to their body.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, McLean, is because going to those other cardiologists, they had written me a script for a beta blocker, which basically slows down your heart. And I remember very vividly, and my husband was there. There's this one cardiologist appointment I went to before going to Dr. Cutchins. He literally read my chart. He's like, "So what's going on?" I said, "Well, I'm having this, having that." He literally grabbed a stethoscope, listened to my heart, told me to cough, breathe deep, put the stethoscope on my back, breathe deep, took out his prescription pad and wrote a script for a beta blocker. And he's like, "Here you go." He didn't run any tests. He didn't do any blood work. He didn't do anything. And so I said, what is this that you're prescribing me? He said, "It's a beta blocker." Haven't done my research. I go, "Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm no doctor by any means, but doesn't a beta blocker slow your heart rate down?" He goes, "Yeah, if you're having palpitations, you need to slow down." I said, "Right, but I also told you that at certain times that will also be followed with losing consciousness. So if I'm passing out, would it make sense to take something that's slowing down my heart if I'm already passing out?"
Right.
Like, again, I'm no doctor. It just didn't make sense to me.
How do you respond?
And what he said to me, he said, "If you don't want to take it, you don't have to." Like, legit.
Okay.
If you don't want to take it, you don't have to.
Okay. Well, that wasn't the question. Like, I'm asking you, does this cause this? Because this is what's happening. Okay. And imagine if you didn't do your homework. And I know it's tedious. I will say, I know someone's gonna ask, why not just get the hysterectomy and get it over and done with? Why choose to go through the whole process and eventually getting a myomectomy, a type of myomectomy? Why not just get the hysterectomy if you know you don't want to have kids anymore? Is it like throwing yourself into, was it perimenopausal phase, menopausal? Like, what was the concern for you to say, I don't want to get a hysterectomy? And it is a major, so it takes months to recover.
Yeah.
Months. It is not something that you sleep on and say, all right, fine, we'll do it next week. Because believe me, a myomectomy takes a month. I imagine all of your reproductive system coming out.
Well, in all honesty, actually, a hysterectomy is a more simpler surgery than a myomectomy, and let me tell you why. I also thought the same thing until the doctor who I chose, Dr. Soyini Hawkins, she performed my surgery at Northside Hospital. I'm not here trying to promote anyone. I'm just telling my story. She performed my surgery at Northside Hospital here in Atlanta. The reason why I chose her is because she also had the same procedure that I had. And she used to be an OBGYN who turned into a surgeon because a doctor who performed her surgery did such an immaculate job that she went back and said, "Teach me everything you know." So, I mean, she just spews black girl magic. She has locks in her hair. So to me, she was the perfect surgeon to do my procedure.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy. But, she's the one who actually helped educate me along my journey. But with the hysterectomy, literally they go in. So the uterus is shaped almost like a heart, right? Then you got your fallopian tubes and your ovaries sit at the end of the fallopian tubes, right? Yeah. They literally go and just cut your uterus out. That's what a hysterectomy is. Okay. And now what they do nowadays, they like to keep your ovaries and your fallopian tubes because of the hormonal, balance. But the hysterectomy is a much simpler procedure than a myomectomy. So the procedure I got was a laparoscopic robotic myomectomy.
Yeah.
Laparoscopic. I did not get cut open. She went through my belly button.
Okay.
So in my mind, I'm 27. But physically and chronologically, my birth certificate says something way older than that.
Right.
So in my mind, I was going to be back on my feet in 2 weeks.
Right.
And she was like, I'm not releasing you. There is no way I'm releasing you in 2 weeks. Like, you are not. I was like, girl, She said, absolutely not. You will rest and you're going to allow your body to heal. Know this, know that. I couldn't pick up anything more than 5 or 10 pounds. I couldn't, like, literally, and I followed doctor's orders to the T.
Yeah.
No alcohol, no alcohol, no, I don't really drink like that anyway. But I had to really, really nurture my body.
Yeah.
And I was so glad that I did. But I ended up being out for 12 weeks.
Wow.
For 12 weeks. So with the myomectomy, again, robotic means that she's not physically cut. She's not right there. She's on a robot, but she's right next to me.
Right.
But she's on a robot. And the robot is what makes the incision. And she went through the belly button, and she with the myomectomy, with the laparoscopic myomectomy, they cut open your uterus and they basically dissect it, taking the fibroids out.
Wow.
So although it was a minimally invasive approach, meaning I didn't get cut open, it's still a major surgery because she still cut me open, so to speak, internally.
Right.
So that's what I mean by it's a much more severe, sophisticated surgery than having a hysterectomy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like kind of Swiss cheesing, if you will.
Right. I'm
your
like
uterus.
Kind of just.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And my incision, a couple inserts here. We're talking maybe an inch, if that. 3 inserts here, and then the belly button. But I will tell you, post-surgery was probably one of the most humbling experiences I ever had in my entire life.
Did you go home right away?
I had to stay the night. One night, I stayed it overnight for monitoring. They wanted to monitor me.
Okay.
So I stayed overnight one night. And while I felt that, again, this whole wearing the cape thing, girl, I burned that bitch. I do not wear that cape, excuse my language, but I do not wear that strong Black woman cape any longer.
No. We want our soft life that we were promised.
That part.
I'm done.
That part, my soft life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I asked how long you were in the hospital because when I did get cut open for the myomectomy, and my blood pressure was through the roof so bad, and it could not. It took hours. It delayed my surgery. My mother's all freaking out, like, oh my God, why is your blood pressure so high? They thought I was just anxious, and then they were like, at one point they gave me something that got it down. After the surgery, it skyrocketed right back up, and I had to be there for a week and a half. They would not let me out. My blood pressure was, I think it was in the 200s, over 100 something. They were like, what's going on?
Stroke level.
Yeah. They were like, we can't let you go. And I'm like, oh gosh. I have a dog and a cat, and my mother is going to be feeding it regular food, and she will not feed the dog food, and I want to go home. Mm-hmm. And I remember, because you don't get rest at the doctor's office, at the hospital.
Oh, you don't at all.
How am I supposed to come? You waking me up every 3 hours, poking at me. I'm good. Mm-hmm. That's why I was curious. And I'm glad you explained why you went one route versus the other.
Yeah.
Because I know that's going to be a big question. Like, well, why not just do this versus that? Again, it's a major decision.
Well, and it is. And and you mentioned a short while ago, so you're correct in that when you have your uterus removed, it does thrust you into what's called surgically induced menopause. And surgically induced menopause is a lot more aggressive on your body than it is to allow your body to go through it menopause naturally.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, when you have surgery, when you remove your uterus has other purposes other than just simply bearing children.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as keeping your hormone levels balanced, that's a huge component to a woman's, her body, her overall being. So for me, although I was not planning on having any more children, maintaining my uterus was very important to me.
Yeah.
However, I'm very transparent in saying that if at any point it becomes risky, I will consider otherwise.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's no shame in either one. I always say if you go in the natural route, you have to give yourself natural time Because even with medication, it takes time. Even with surgery, it takes time. The natural, yes, can you shrink fibroids? You absolutely can, but that is a real commitment. If you do decide to get a myomectomy, there's still a healing process. There's still diet changes. There's still herbs and vitamins you have to do to build your body back up. Because you don't, even if you are 23, his body still needs time to bounce back. And you are very healthy.
I try to be.
Yeah, you're very healthy. And you also have a walk.
I do. So I am the curator of Run Far 5K.
Yeah.
And FAR is an acronym for Fibroid Awareness and Resources. 2021, still in the middle of a pandemic, was my very first one, inaugural year. Everyone thought I was nuts, like no one's gonna come out. So on average, we have around between 150 to about 200 participants. I can even say now that it's global because I've had global participants.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm just really excited about it because for the record, it's not a sporting event, just like, walk for breast cancer or anything like that. Yeah. It's not a sporting event. It's to bring awareness into the community about this global pandemic.
Yeah.
That a lot of us are still unaware of. And so, with the 5K run walk, with the Run Far 5K, the goal is to provide, just awareness to the community. It is a 2-day event with the 5K run walk happening on day 1. Day 2 is the Fibroid Awareness Brunch, where I have different doctors and experts and professionals come out to educate you on the whole aspect of fibroid healing. Yeah. So it's not only talking about bad periods.
Yeah.
It's not only talking about high blood pressure, but it really talks about other things as far as what your opportunities are, as far as the healing options. Like you said, going the natural route.
Yeah.
What does that truly look like when you go to, what does going natural really mean?
Right.
Does that mean I have to be vegan? Does that mean I have to become pescatarian? So they can take you through all of that, and having someone talk about, like natural teas.
Yeah.
And healing teas. Yeah. And things like that.
Yeah.
And the purpose and the art behind meditation, deep breathing, and sound therapy.
Yeah.
And I still participate in that to this day, because to me, I'm always on that healing journey, because we all know that fibroids can and will grow back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the goal is to grow it. And I can only grow it by getting sponsorships. So you go to fibroidpandemic.com or runfar5k.com. And we're going to announce the exact date for 2025.
Okay.
And going forward every single year.
Yeah. And I'll make sure I have the info right there at the bottom. So take a look, register, support, of course, and learn. It's a lot to learn about it.
It
is, but I think it's critical. We have to think about things that we're forced to learn, like taxes. Right. We gotta learn how to do our jobs.
Right.
I think the part that we were not taught growing up is how to learn our bodies.
We weren't. I'm the first one to say, when my mom found out that I was physically, sexually active, her words were, "You better not ever let me hear that shit again." Boom. That was it. So I would literally sneak. I remember this girl I know, she and I wouldn't put ourselves on birth control, because at the time you can go to the local health department, and that's what we did. And, I'm glad that I did. But I also realize now that that was part of my fibroid journey as well. I had no idea taking the birth control.
Honey, we can go on about the misconception about birth control. There was when I got on birth control, the clinic at the school gave it to me. We didn't know no parents to sign off, because they were so adamant about teenagers not getting pregnant. Oh, take this. And it's like the amount of times, but then I had such horrible cramps growing up because of my period that I eventually did tell my mom that I needed to take, because she found them. They said, "What's up with the doctors? That I need to take them because of my cramps." And she dragged me to the doctor's office, and that doctor confirmed, yeah, it's going to help her. Because with my cramps would be so bad that I couldn't go to school. And so my mom was like, "Well, all right." So you think about me being on birth control from like 14 all off and on to like 30, well, boo, you pumping them hormones in your system.
You are. And that's the thing. And I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that even though, so for the record, the main culprit of uterine fibroids is a dominance of estrogen. A lot of people are unaware of that.
Yeah.
Estrogen is like, it constantly surrounds us in everything we do and eat and breathe and sleep. So even if your doctor puts you on a low grade estrogen birth control, you are still feeding your body extra estrogen than what it already needs, than what it already has.
Yeah.
So really focusing on different things, your diet.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes when I tell people what they need to eliminate, they become so overwhelmed. Oh, that's too much. Like, okay, or what's most important? Something that tastes good to you or your health, right? So just eliminating things like fried foods, red meat.
Yeah.
Dairy is like the devil to our uterus.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can go on, high fructose corn syrup. But what's most important is what you replace it with.
Yeah.
Organic, natural fruits and veggies, a cruciferous veggies, dark leafy veggies. I make my own smoothies. I make my own juice.
Yeah.
And I don't add anything. I don't add any milk to it. I don't add any honey. I don't add anything. I allow my body to acquire the taste.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put pineapples and mangoes, it's going to taste good anyway.
I was going to say, that's how
and
I
sidebar,
do
for those of y'all who don't know, mangoes are aphrodisiac.
Okay.
And pineapples make her taste sweet. So, sorry. Excuse me. So true. But yeah, just really focusing on things that you'll normally do to live a healthier lifestyle anyway. This is not the fibroid diet. This is just really living a healthy lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Of course, I have cheat days. I'm not going to lie and say I don't.
Right.
I am a sucker for some really good chocolate chip cookies, girl.
Okay. And cheat days are not heavy every day. Like, that's
exactly.
I look forward to cheat. Sometimes that's how I get through the week. Like, if I can make it to my cheat day, nobody gets hurt.
Exactly. No one gets hurt. No one gets hurt. It's important that, women are aware of what to pay attention to, because some people may say, well, how do I know if I got fibroids? Right?
Yeah.
Number one, to your point earlier, really bad cramps. That has become so normalized.
Yeah.
It's very common, but it's not normal, ladies. It's not.
No.
Bad cramps, bad periods. If your period lasts over 5 days, I'll even give you 7. If it lasts more than 5 days, it's very common.
Yeah.
But it is not normal.
No.
A woman's body is not supposed to bleed that long.
No.
And not only that, your body's not supposed to shed that much blood. Mm. If you are literally changing your pad, and I'll tell you, in my worst stages, I was at a point to where, oh gosh, I was changing. So my very, very worst.
Yeah.
I was what I call not doubling up, but quadrupling up.
Yeah.
So I'd wear a ultra thick, super duper, whatever it's called, tampon.
Yeah.
So-called organic.
Mm-hmm.
A overnight pad, which is like a diaper.
It is a diaper.
Absorbent underwear.
Yep.
Shorts.
Yep.
And then my outer clothing.
Yes.
And the shorts just kind of try to keep everything in. And I would still have an accident within an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
That is not normal.
No.
If you're having accidents and literally you're bloated to a point to where people think that you're pregnant, and you can feel like I could almost grab the fibroid.
Yeah.
Like you can literally, like you could feel it.
That's a big thing. A lot of women have asked me, like they said, I look pregnant. I'm like, you need to see a doctor immediately because fibroids grow. They affect other parts of your body. You know what I mean? Because like, I think there was a story of a woman whose fibroid got as big as like a melon. Mm-hmm. And she just was always thick. Mm-hmm. So she didn't think nothing of it until I think she started to there's something with her legs as well. I have to look up the story. But she said that she'd go to the doctor. Again, they talked about her being overweight. You need to change your diet, put her on other pain medicines, her period was heavy too. And I know about the pads overnight, tampons, and whenever I would sleep, whoever, like if I was with my husband, a boyfriend, if I'm laying next to you and I'm on my period, I'd be so anxious. I never slept well those first 2 nights.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm going to leak. I'm going to leak. And then I'd have the towel there.
Yes.
And then my friend's like, don't put tampons. I was like, do you want me to leave a bloody trail? He's going to wake up and wonder if I died.
Exactly.
Like, come on. So
exactly.
And it is not normal.
It's not normal, but they have normalized it so much to a point, almost to a point of no return. I just really want women to take their power back.
Yeah.
Take their power back, understanding that there is life outside of fibroids. There is life on the other side of fibroids. You know, when I said that it affects you socially, oftentimes you become isolated.
Yeah.
Because we you know, thank you, girl, for the invitation to the birthday party, but I'm not going.
Yeah.
Because it falls on the first 2-3 days of my period. I'm not going.
Yeah.
I can't. I literally cannot.
It's a lot. I think it's also, and I'm so happy you were able to share your story because, again, go to our website, get educated, learn more about your body, learn more about what you can do to take care of yourself, because without you being your own advocate, again, like you said, everybody expires. You can go quicker if you don't take care of yourself. And you don't have to be loud. And I'm tired of the ideology that Black women are difficult patients, Black women are overly dramatic, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I'm going to be dramatic if something is wrong and you're telling me I'm stressed.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be very dramatic. And take it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't have to be nasty. Don't go up in your doctor's office acting the fool saying, you know, I said you could do it. Don't do that. But advocating for yourself means pushing. I'll share with you that earlier this year, I suffered a 4th miscarriage. And they assigned me a new doctor. And I told myself, speak up, because this pregnancy came out of nowhere. And, you know, I had RT. RT wasn't even 1 yet. And this is still hard for me to talk about, because I felt in my gut, I need to tell this doctor, I need to take progesterone pills. She's like, oh, it doesn't really work. It's not a big deal. She didn't care too much about my HCG levels going up. She was like, but I pushed for that. She goes, all right, they're fine. They're going up a lot. And I'm like, okay. And you don't think I need to take these extra vitamins? No, it's the point. I mean, you could take the aspirin if you want. Is it aspirin? Yeah. If you want to. So yeah, I should have listened to my gut and pushed it. I kept saying, okay, in week 9, that is between week 7 and week 9, that's my highest risk, because before RTs, I never got past week 9. Something would happen week 7, week 8, week 9. And I just felt myself go back to normal. I didn't feel pregnant anymore. The day I walked into that building, I was with Dorian, and I saw an old man crying downstairs. And I walked past him, and I'm like, I don't feel pregnant. Keep in mind, 2 days before, I was feeling pregnant, but I was like, something is wrong. The building that I walked in was a building that I had my 3rd miscarriage. And I was just like, I don't want to come in here. Something is wrong. I feel it. Oh, lo and behold, ultrasound. I'm so sorry, there's no heartbeat. And I knew it. And then when I talked to her, she's just like, I mean, it's your 2nd pregnancy. I want to slap this bitch.
I know you did.
I'm like, this is my 5th. And she was like,
I know you did.
And so I'm so emotionally distressed. I was like, I told you I needed the progesterone pills. And she's like, it doesn't always work. I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, I need to leave. And then she's like, oh, well, you know, we got to go through a process of, do you want to have a DNC or not? I'm just so angry. The doctor that delivered our teeth, she contacted me and was like, I'm so sorry. You know, and I said, she didn't listen. And yeah, I wanted to sue Wellstar, I did, but I really like the lady that delivered my baby, and I want her, and I still believe in my body to have one more child if God allows it. And I still have to forgive her, but forgive myself. Toya, I knew it. I knew it. I should have been louder. I should have said, do you know this is this? Do you know this is that? But I didn't want to be a Karen.
Yep.
I didn't want to be that patient.
And see, to that point, that is so frustrating to me, because as Black women, and this is a whole different conversation that we can talk about for hours on end. But as Black women, we are oftentimes portrayed as being difficult, as being bossy, as being rude, as being dramatic, like you said a second ago. But the thing is that this is our bodies.
Yeah.
Like, this is our well-being. Why would we not take it serious? Why would we not be? And being over dramatic to some is really just being passionate to others.
Yeah.
If I'm passionately advocating for myself, what if I'm not doing that? What the hell am I supposed to be doing? Because you as my doctor, you're not doing it.
Right. Do you see there any other fibroids? Because a fibroid caused a miscarriage at 7 weeks. Did they come back? Like, I could have been louder. And I'm still forgiving myself and forgiving her.
Yeah, I definitely want you to forgive yourself, because we can all say what we could have and would have and should have done. At the end of the day, you were following doctor's orders, what you thought was the right thing, even though your gut told you differently. Um, I'm not here to give any type of advice other than, you may want to consider a different doctor.
Oh, I'm not going back to her.
Oh, yeah.
No, because she wasn't listening.
Mm-hmm.
The original doctor that delivered our teas, I wanted to work with her, but they said, well, this is the new doctor. She has more flexibility. This woman didn't even know I was high risk.
Mm.
The other one would have known.
Not even paying attention.
She literally said, she pulled my shirt. She goes, you were on this, this, and that. I was like, why didn't she know this? I had to have, and because the baby was not coming out naturally.
That could very well be a very viable court case.
Because what is wrong with you? Do you not read?
Right.
You're a doctor. And there's another podcast I have of a doctor who it talks about the pressures of being a doctor, particularly a women's doctor. And she goes into what they have to face, patients, how many patients they see, small amount of time, and I empathize.
Right. Yeah, statistically, you get about 6 minutes with your doctor. 6 minutes, and that's not enough to do anything.
No, but you have 24 hours with yourself every single day. So if you think something wrong, you either go in there and make that 6 minutes count, and you keep coming back as often until you get you what you need.
To that point, I always tell people, when you go to the doctor, arrive question ready.
Yeah.
Don't start pulling up Google and thinking about questions when you're there. You already do all your research before you get there, because you only have a certain amount of time with your doctor. Like, you have to really make the best of that doctor's appointment. Yeah. So show up with your questions already ready, and any type of follow-up questions.
Yeah.
And be prepared to, thoroughly and effectively express yours. Like, literally, I'll put my notes in my phone.
Yeah.
And I'll say, okay, hold on, doctor. I got this question. And it's not to be challenging, but it's just to really gather a true understanding.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And, when you have someone who's gone through what you and I have both gone through, and the whole gaslighting, and there's so much more I could talk about my story, but, it really affects you.
It does.
It affects you tremendously. And I just could not lay down and let it pass. I had to turn my pain into passion. I had to.
Yeah.
Because there's so many girls who look like you and I who will never be like, when I started along this journey, half of this information wasn't even out there.
Right.
Half of the information. And I'm not this huge fibroid, guru, although I'm very passionate about what I do, and I have helped dozens and dozens of women. The fact is that people don't even know where to start. They don't know where to start. So if I can be that conduit to help you get to the solution that you feel is in your best interest, and I've successfully done my job.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And I so appreciate you for doing that, because I think the information you provide, the other professionals you work with, your brunch, your walk, just your information that you share with others, that expands our expiration date. That is what helps us become healthy, and also allows us to know, okay, I can do a little bit farther than a Google search of what this is.
That's right.
I can advocate for myself. There's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, again, they're 8 minutes, you're 24 hours. You live it yourself. And so advocate for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. And I always say, Karens can be Karens, but they get it done.
They do.
They get what they want. And so I'm not saying go again. I do not go in your doctor's office acting a fool, but caring for yourself takes more than just accepting, okay, you said take this meds, I'll take these meds. You know what the meds do, know what the side effects are. If it's like you should get a hysterectomy, know what comes with the hysterectomy. Are you mentally prepared for what your body's going to go through? Do you know what it's like to have your uterus taken out of you? And is this the only option?
Right.
What are your options? Even I think somebody sent me a DM about, she's 32 and she had severe cramps, fibroids, but they were so severe that she couldn't walk, and they were big, that they said the only way that we can get rid of them is through a hysterectomy. She's 32 and she had them, and she's just like, I'm going through hot flashes, and she's depressed. She's like, I'm never gonna have kids. How do I explain this to a man that wants children? I'm like, one, you're honest. Two, you made the decision, it happened. So your goal is to just, and we talked about, herbal ways to try to rebalance her hormones. But she going through it at 32. Maybe she's 31 and then she turned 32. So I think she might have had the surgery probably either 30 or 31. That's very young. But she thought that was her only option. She didn't ask any questions.
There are so many people out there who do the same exact thing. Like, I know several women who have done the same exact thing. I mean, let's just be honest. My late mother, she had fibroids, but back then they called them tumors. So for those of you who don't know, fibroids are simply muscular tissue that grows in or around or on the uterus. They are non-cancerous tumors, but they can be life-threatening. My mother, my mother-in-law, my husband's godmother, my nieces, my sisters, best friends.
Yeah.
Literally, once I started telling my story and speaking my truth, like literally probably in my circle, probably 8 out of 10 women were experiencing. I'm like, why the hell nobody talking about this?
It's normal.
Exactly.
It's normal. And
it's normal.
It's not. And normalizing fibroids is insane. Normalizing taking a medication for the rest of your life is unfair. It's unfair. But we're also a newer generation that has changed, because the generations prior to us, they will do whatever the doctor says. And that's just how they grew up. And I think now it's not about challenging doctors. It's about challenging really yourself to do the extra homework you need to do to make a decision for yourself. Because at the end of the day, if it's like, oh my God, eating healthy is so expensive. You know it's expensive?
That part.
Okay. It's expensive.
It's just like when I hear people say that insurance is so expensive. And my response is, imagine how expensive that surgery would be if you didn't have insurance.
Okay.
Like literally overnight, one night stay, having that surgery was $80,000, $85,000. One night. And you think I'm complaining about a damn $1,500 deductible? No.
I'll be all right. I'm gonna tell you. So when I was pregnant with Artis, I had a seizure. It was the very first seizure I had. Like, it was awful. And then I went to the emergency room. I got that bill. Unfortunately, around a year later, I was having continual seizures, and the ambulance came. I said, get the hell out of my house. I'm not even lying to you. I was like, no, you're not wrong. I'm fine. I'm awake. Get the fuck out of my house, because you're not going to bill me. The man is looking at me like, lady. I'm like, bye. Bye. I had another seizure. They're trying to drag me out of here. And my husband is like, no, you have to go. You have to go. I was like, I'm not paying this bill. And he's like, I'll pay the bill. Take her. Like, 'cause I'm just like, no, y'all gonna bill me $1,800. The man is like, ma'am, you were choking on your vomit.
Yeah.
You need to go to the emergency room. And I'm like, I will take myself. You're not dragging me. He's
Girl,
like,
take that damn strong black woman cape up and get your ass in that damn ambulance.
They can deal with this bill later. They got payment plans.
Right, exactly.
It's like, so yeah. Be your own self-care advocate. It's critical. But the true investment in yourself is probably the most important thing. Seeing the doctors. Yes. And I'm proud that you saw multiple and didn't just accept where you were.
Oh, and when I tell you, it became beyond exhausting. Like, it was so vile. Like, just to go in, and you already knew they were gonna just say, yeah, there's no, like, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And needless to say, after I had the myomectomy, My palpitations have subsided. Like I haven't had, well, let me correct myself. I have had minor palpitations because the veins are damaged already. Right. And like you don't grow new veins.
Right.
But when I say minor, I think it's more so related to the premenopause, which causes you to have palpitations, but they're not aggressive, they're not frequent. I mean, I could probably count on one hand how many times it's happened since last year.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Did you get a new GYN?
Yeah. Oh, girl, hell yeah. I did actually, that 12 and a half years. 12 and a half years. That relationship. I went back to her one time after that, and that was for her to remove the IUD because I'm like, I don't want it no more.
Yeah.
And so I remember going back and for those who don't know, a woman at an OBGYN office, outside of giving birth to a baby, when your legs are in them stirrups at the OBGYN office, that's like the most vulnerable you're going to ever be outside of giving birth, right?
Yeah.
Legs up, spotlight, And so she was going to remove the IUD, and I hear, uh-oh. And I'm lying on my back. And, that's me like, what do you mean, uh-oh?
Right.
And so, again, go with me in your mind here. I'm lying on my back, and I started to get lightheaded as I'm lying down. Now, this is way before the palpitations. This was years and years and years before that. I'm lying on my back, and I started to get lightheaded. So your natural instinct is to sit up. And, they had the doctor and the assistant there. And the assistant, she's like, no, 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 no. Be still, lie back down. I'm like, give me my phone. What's going on? And she's like, I need you to be very, very still. And so the assistant walks out. She comes back in and she says to me, oh, you're a difficult one, aren't you? And I was like, what is going on? And she's like, just stay still. And she came back with a Coca-Cola. The nurse practitioner had a Coca-Cola. She gave it to me. And the doctor popped a tampon in, took the speculum out, lowered my legs and told me to sit up and just be there, be still and drink the Coca-Cola. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And when I sat up, it was literally like a murder scene. All of this blood. And the reason why I was getting lightheaded, because the warmth, my bottom still started feeling warm, and I sat up like, what's going on? I'm lightheaded. Yeah. My bottom feels warm. The warmth was literally because I started to hemorrhage.
Oh my God.
And I'm sure somewhere in my medical records there's a puncture of my cervix or something. But she's like, oh, you're a difficult one, because she couldn't get it out. And so back to your point about me changing doctors. Hell yeah, I changed doctors. I haven't gone to her since then.
Good for you.
I went to another doctor, actually, coincidentally, Emory Midtown, and they popped it out like that.
Literally, that is so scary.
I had no idea what was happening. She never said anything to me. It took me to have to sit up, and I could see the smear. Wow. I could see the smear of the blood on the floor for them trying to clean it up. And I'm like, well, what happened? Well, we couldn't get it out, but she never said what actually happened.
Right.
You don't just bleed like that because you can't get it out. My bottom was feeling warm because there was so much blood coming out.
Oh my God. Ugh. And this before everything. I'm telling y'all.
Before all of that. We're talking 10 years before all of that started happening. It was before the UFE. It's before all of that.
Your story is incredible.
Thank you.
And I know the journey continues.
It does.
It continues, but you made great strides, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of your walk. I'm proud of the stuff that you give to our community that women can utilize to be healthy and happier and advocate for themselves. I'm just so grateful. So grateful for I knew I had to have you. It's like, I need them to see you. This person is real.
I'm grateful for you having me.
Yeah.
I really am. And I truly mean that because, again, we all have stories to tell. And if, like I said, if I can help just one other person, then I've tremendously done my job.
Yeah. And as many women you've helped. So thank you again.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. And as always, I like to give gifts to my guests. Now, for my girlies who suffer with cramps and suffer with, like, even if it's post-surgery, fibroids, whatever it is, I always think I'm a big person for self-care. I like to smell good and feel good. I do. That's all my products are made by hand. I'm very careful on what I put in my products because I myself understand the importance of wound care. Wound care is self-care. Self-care means healthy, happy living. So this is crazy because after I gave birth, not that I had nothing else to do because, what's a newborn? They're a piece of cake. I took a class on herbs and how to make body scrubs because I think people send me stuff from the Bath and Beyond. My hormones were so out of control, I started to grow a beard. And I was just like, it's this PCOS acting a fool again. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, why? Like, I literally hair on my chinny chin.
I had that too at one point.
Yeah. And I'm like, but I knew my hormones were out of whack.
Yeah.
But I was using crazy soaps from the store. And so I was like,
every year when they have that sale, girl.
Don't act the fool. I'm telling you, I act a fool because I like to smell good and feel good. So I did learn how to make my own body scrubs and soaps and oils, of course.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I have different body scrubs. The turmeric one is probably the most popular ones. And for ladies who are trying to balance their hormones, yes, I have the Just Queen one and I also have the Just Elite one. But the turmeric one is called Just Balance. I did want to gift you a Just Queen one or anyone that you want to try over there. This Queen.
You guys see that?
Yeah, the Queen one has scent in it. It smells really good. The Just Delete one, I'm gonna be ratchet on TikTok when I'm talking about Just Delete, and you'll know why it's just deleting.
Ooh,
it smells good. Yeah,
that's
and those
very
are
soft.
It is very soft, and they're all essential oils because I'm aware that some women have allergies to perfumes, and you have to be very careful with the types of perfumes you put into your body because again, things go into your skin, they absorb in the skin, they go into the body, and then we don't know what you're feeding.
You sure don't.
So the turmeric one has no scent, is literally turmeric based, and it will not turn your skin orange. And I highly recommend those for women who've pre-pregnancy, post-pregnancy, post-surgery, dealing with fibroids, anything that you have going on that requires you to balance your hormones. This Just Balance soap that y'all like to sell me out, make me work so hard on because y'all used to buy them all the time. I guess it's a $10 soap, but you can't making me work. Those soaps go so fast.
Oh yeah.
But now there's a turmeric soap and the scrub. Self-care wise, it's critical. But I did want to give this to you. So you have some self-care over.
I really appreciate that.
Start of 2025. It's gonna be a good year, y'all.
I'll use it and I'll let you know what I think about it.
Yes,
Thank
of
you
course.
so much.
Yes,
very thoughtful.
Thank you again.
It's a pleasure.
Again. And leave your comments at the bottom. If you need to reach out to LaToya, LaToya, her information is right at the bottom. Reach out to her. She's amazing and she's so sweet. I was so scared to DM her because I was like, she's gonna be too busy. But I was like, I'll be brave, and I'll ask.
I will not deny that I'm busy, but I always make time. So I'm again, look, we are in this journey together.
Yes, and you aren't alone. You're not alone. Take that first step. Thank you all again for joining me on the Womanhood is Ghetto podcast. Thanks again.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
See y'all later. Don't forget to subscribe.
Toodles.